Hello, and welcome to the Tai Chi Notebook podcast. My name is Graham Barlow, and I've been practicing martial arts for over 25 years now. This is a podcast where I talk to the people I find most interesting and intriguing in the world of martial arts. My guest today is my first from the world of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's Estonian Jiu-Jitsu coach Priit Mihkelson. For over 15 years now, Priit has been pioneering an innovative and logical defensive style of Jiu-Jitsu that has taken the BJJ world by storm. In fact, he's just back from running a training camp held in a castle in Italy. His seminars are sold out until mid-June next year, so it was great to grab some of his precious time and catch up with him before he jetted off to his next training camp. Here we talk about everything to do with defensive Jiu-Jitsu, training methods, and technical innovations. So, let's get straight to it. Here's the Turtle Master himself, Priit Mihkelson. Hi Priit, how are you?
I'm doing good, I'm awesome, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. I'm really pleased to have you on the podcast. Thank you very much for doing this. I know you're very busy at the moment, so I really appreciate you giving me a bit of your time. Working around your new baby son as well.
Yes, it's manageable, but he's like hard angle, so to speak, or there's the time has to be managed more efficiently now. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember when I had kids the same age, my brain turned to mush for about 5 years. So you're doing very well.
Yeah. So I can cheat a little bit because I travel, so I can get a little bit sleep and everything. So my wife has it a little bit harder, but yeah. So it is what it is. So
good. So this podcast is normally about, well, so far it's been about Chinese martial arts, and this is the first time we've done something on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I'm really pleased about that.
I appreciate that.
But I noticed recently you posted a picture of yourself when you were much younger.
Yeah.
In full uniform, doing Chinese martial arts.
Yeah.
And that was your background.
You know, I was a Tai Chi teacher. You know that.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah. So
me too.
I checked out your podcast page and I saw a lot of Tai Chi stuff. I was like, okay, how come you contacted me? But do you want to hear the story? I guess yeah.
Yeah, I want to find out about what your background was.
Yeah. So I started. I was 17. I did a lot of basketball and stuff, but in 17, I started martial arts. So I started with karate. I guess it was called Shotokan. But our coach was really influenced by Chinese arts and learned himself from books or whatever, I don't know, like some Tai Chi stuff and some Wing Chun elements. And so we had some Tai Chi teachers visiting Estonia. It was like, I don't know, it wasn't big, but there was clearly interest, those, they call it internal arts, So we did a lot of forms and also I think the outfit also represents that a bit, that the club that club it was in the end, it was like mixture of things. I don't think we got the respect from other, let's say even pure Tai Chi stuff or pure karate schools, because I guess when the coach was alive, it was somewhat respected because it was a legendary coach in Estonia. But then after he passed away, with what's they call it, like something, blood vessel exploded in his head.
Aneurysm.
Yeah, aneurysm. Yeah, I was thinking about the word. So the club was given to me because I guess I was a young, enthusiastic guy. And I had to. I think it was a too big burden anyway, looking back. But then, kind of as much as I remember, then I was looking for a way, a little bit to educate myself or whatever. Because at the time I did karate, I was always kind of, I don't know, introvert. I didn't have much social group. So my social group was a karate class. I didn't have much friends, and. So I did also Aikido at the same time. Like maybe it was Monday, Wednesday was a karate or something, and Tuesday, Thursday was Aikido. I did. I have like a fourth Q, or maybe even not. I didn't do the exam, but I was, I think, ready for a third Q, whatever, in Aikido. And then I don't know how it happened, but I also went to some Tai Chi. Actually, the guy that traveled to Estonia, that I guess was under a bit, was Scott Rodell. He was having like a Michuan Daichi Chuan, and he
Yeah,
was
I know him.
and he was a guy that I guess tried to revive the old style and stuff. And he traveled to Estonia basically every year, at least once. And we did a lot of forms. So in some point I was also teaching Tai Chi. Like we did some form exercises and all the holding the arms in front of you and that, and whatever we did. So I think I did it many years actually, and so that was interesting history. And then I think I ended up, before I quitted that side of my life, was I moved to Wing Chun,
Yeah.
because it was, I guess I was more interested of fighting or something. And then Wing Chun was very aggressive when it's advertising, thumbs in the eye and nut kicks and elbows to the face. And so it was like, as a younger person, I was like, oh, this is so cool. And their demonstration was always very brutal.
Yeah,
And
flashy. Yeah.
yeah. And then I did that. I was running that, I guess, many years. I did Wing Chun, I think 6 years or something. But then I ended up leaving. Last coach was a Lithuanian one. I was in doing like Madai Norbert Eastern European Wing Chun Association. It wasn't in Germany. It was a Kerspert under Leong Ting, and the Madai Norbert was also under Leong Ting, but it was Eastern European. It was considered like more purer, so to speak, the Chinese Wing
Yeah.
Chun. And then I ended up leaving Wing Chun also because there was a pyramid scheme. It was basically a young kid telling me how to live, and I had to
Yeah.
lie to my students and everything else to keep the information from them because they hadn't paid for that, and there were some goofy rules. And so I ended up leaving 2005 February and then opening up actually Jiu-Jitsu club, because at the time we did Wing Chun. Other Wing Chun coach he had a Sambo background. One Russian guy was doing Wing Chun with me, another city. So he was a Russian Sambo background, and so he was like, yeah, Wing Chun is good in stand-up, but you need groundwork, and I right away liked it. So we did both. We did Wing Chun and ground fighting, and then I ended up leaving, and then it was like we saw the Royce Gracies and stuff, and so the rest is history, kind of.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's very short, like
Yeah.
intro. That
And do you
yeah.
do you still do Tai Chi yourself?
And no, my friend, I do. I don't do those arts anymore, but I'd say the most. I think I still have coordination and some memory of the forms of the Michuan, and then I know my friend has a wooden dummy at home, so we haven't spoken to him for a while. But I know if I visit him or visited him years back, then I always had to do some moves on a wooden dummy, because
Yeah.
it was just so cool to just do it.
Yeah, it's
So
nice.
yeah.
It's nice. Yeah.
So right now I don't do. Yeah, that side is not active in my life at the moment, and I do my research in jiu-jitsu and travel and raise a kid, and so that takes mostly my time. So I don't have anything
Yeah.
beside that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm similar to you. That I started in Chinese arts and then discovered Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at some point, and I thought, wow, this is great. But I've always kept my Tai Chi practice sort of in the background, just for me, but I'm a bit older, and I do find it helps with the recovery
Okay.
between lessons.
Yeah. So
But yeah,
yeah.
I'm about 50, so. So maybe you'll when you get to my age, maybe you'll think, oh, maybe I'll just break out that form again now and again.
Yeah. But right now, what comes to like recovery stuff, I try to lift weights and stuff. So it's not, jiu-jitsu is very unsymmetrical. It kind of wears and tears the body not equally, and so I'm trying to run. It's harder now with the baby and all that. Right now in the schedule is very heavy traveling, so it's harder at the moment, but I will still do it. And then lifting weights. So those are one trains the heart, makes it bigger, and then I specifically train cardio, like running close to my aerobic threshold, and then lifting weights kind of keeps joints and muscles and everything else more symmetrically, like under pressure or something.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So I tend to think of what Priit offers to the world of jiu-jitsu is kind of two things. There's the technical defensive jiu-jitsu that you've innovated, but there's also your kind of your challenges to the conventional way of thinking and doing things in jiu-jitsu. And you've talked a lot about that on other podcasts, so I kind of just wanted to stick to the technical defensive stuff. You did a great talk actually about the way what we train in jiu-jitsu. It's not necessarily the best way to do things, and we should do it more like a sport and less like a martial art. It's a talk on YouTube, so if anyone wants to check it out,
it's Iceland camp, I think.
Yeah, a Globetrotters camp. Yeah. I'll put a link in the show notes to that.
Cool.
But talking about the technical innovations,
yes.
What normally happens in jiu-jitsu is the way it's supposed to work is somebody does something new in a competition, and everyone goes, "Wow, that's really cool," and that idea spreads almost from the top down, from the elite level down to the local clubs. And it seems to me that your stuff is more of a grassroots sort of movement. It's being propagated via like Globetrotters and YouTube videos, and people have picked it up at the kind of local gym level, and that's where you find most of the innovation. So why don't we see your defensive stuff happening at the higher level in jiu-jitsu, and why is it so popular at this sort of local level, do you think?
I would cockily predict we will see it in some point. If I end up being, let's call it right, in that quotation marks said word, if I end up being right, then we will see it. But also, let's say, I think my thing talks more to everyday person. And if you competitor, but it's cool to see those competitors, but most people are not, close in like let's say their shape is not close to the competitor. It's cool to see what the best of us can do, but still the average jiu-jitsu player is older, 30s, whatever. And then I think my stuff accidentally speaks to those kind of people that are actually everyday people that struggling, paying the rent in a club, and I think they actually see that they could pull those things off, and if they see a competition doing something flashy, cool inverts and stuff, it's fun to see, but I guess they would feel like, I can never do that, So my stuff, I think, speaks differently to them. That it's actually, I think if they see me in action, maybe a lot of people say, oh, this is very high level, and you turn your back and, you have the feeling. But the way we're teaching this, I think people can watch, it was this year in the summer, Iceland, defensive BJJ crash course. So the way we teach it, actually, it's very simple, and people getting really fast results with basic layers, just how to shut there down, how to keep your elbows, how to pummel everything out. And surprisingly, people are like, oh shit, it's not actually hard. And I'm doing my stuff because I'm exploring. I'm playing very open and very feeling-based because, I'm bored. And I want to test how deep I can go, so it looks more complicated. But that's I can also teach. But that's, if you earn that freedom, you can also do it. I know it's not an advertisement talk, so to speak. But I think in a grassroots level, the stuff that brings you a lot of benefits are those structures, the hawking, running man, turtles, pandas, and transitions. And actually people get really confident really quickly when you drill them right, and they see the benefits. Oh, now I survived whole 6 minutes. So and I also understand that bigger coaches, more famous coaches, I don't know, they're like, oh, why? People have asked why I concentrate so much on defense, because the attacks are winning the game. But it's a really stupid question, because it's like, if you want to box in MMA without takedown defense, you're not going to box. So
Yeah.
that's why Habib can run at people arms up in eye level, and just don't care, because who's going to out wrestle him, So because his defensive wrestling is so good, and also I guess he can attack, and he knows nobody's going to throw him basically, and so you can be fearless. So defense is not sexy. Defense is not. We don't see a lot compared to how much we see attacking sequences. Let's say in YouTube, in leg locks, or Instagram, or some cool submission chains. We don't see as much, a lot of cool defensive chains. There's no Instagram account that shows like, okay, well, let's gather all the cool escaping scenarios, and it's not sexy enough, but I think it's actually the hardest skill to manage. And so if I make everyday people to survive, and they get tapped less, they will end up having more fun, and they stick to Jiu-Jitsu. I think it's a win, and not everybody will be competitor. And so I find that it's weird that I went after that, in that sense, that because I was solving a problem for me, because the defensive ideas were not studied, and the answers that were given by the people before me, I wasn't happy with, so I had to figure out. And I got hints here and there, and I tried to answer the question better for myself. And surprisingly, there's a gazillion people who also has the same problem. So now now I'm getting all the information getting bigger also, because I'm talking to everyday people, and because clearly, if you watched Polaris, clearly you don't see people getting stuck because their guards are so good, and we don't see them struggling so much maybe. But everyday people sparring, it's a different, Right now we have two best guys, and then basically guard passes will never happen because everybody's guard is so good, And then we get we get a wrong sense that what we need is maybe good, better guard. But sometimes I think that the Polish guy who actually did the ankle lock there, he had a really good side control escapes also. And my answer is always, if you want to have an aggressive guard, you better have very good defense in turtle, in side control, in mount, so then you can be as aggressive as you want. Because if you make a mistake, you can recover. But if you want to try, you have to be willing to make mistakes, and then time it better. So defensive BJJ is actually a foundation as a solid attack, for solid attack. So it's a I don't know if I'm rambling already. The topic went like a little bit left with this, but it's interesting effect, so to speak, that, and I think just it randomly happens because people are they really see what they need or something. If I put information out, it helps them, and then they're using it, and they talk well about it, and they share it to their friends about it. It just spreads. It spreads differently compared to when they see a cool technique, in YouTube. Oh, this is a cool sweep. They share it differently. It seems that if they're using the turtle, and if they have like a elbows in and they're surviving turtle, they will share it with their comrades differently than a cool sweep they can never pull off, or pull off once, So so there's a different psychological effect in that, and I don't have a straight answer, as you can see, for that, like why it spreads. I just feel like people feel it helps them more, and they're automatically more, even maybe they don't know why, but that they're automatically drawn to it. And also bigger higher level guys, they have more doubts also. And I've seen also some, I don't know, if they see my stuff, I'll still take your back, or they have some way, I don't know, disbelief more. And then also people, who uses that in high level? I would go like Eduardo Telles, Jeff Clover, I don't know, there's more the defensive guys. So I can really explain Jeff Clover's game, that I might not be the best way, but I can explain why it works, because I can understand that he's amazing. And for everybody else, he looks like oh, this is very feeling based and crazy and very attribute and out of this world. I was like, no, I can explain it. It's not very complicated. He's very good at this. And
you did a video, didn't you, where you broke down one of his matches?
I tried, and then people kind of were annoyed about it. Like I did it kind of bad way, and the feedback was kind of trash. And
I thought it was good. I thought it was really good.
I know, but just I think I don't know. I was a little bit discouraged of the feedback, and then that YouTube comments are sometimes people are idiots, and they always have something to say, and I was kind of thrown off by that, and maybe I pick it up because I don't see a lot of people, explaining his style from that angle that I do. But clearly, didn't have like nice video editing or all those things. I just paused and rewind and did it again. And for me, it's the information that matters. But there was, I think, for people, it was more like a visual was shit, So I was like,
forget them.
Yeah. I'm not crying out loud here, but I was like, So I didn't felt that maybe the time was right, or maybe I want to do it better in that sense. So, and but it's interesting just to blabber in my head. It's interesting that we don't, let's say, there's no like big names, so to speak, using this or something. That my system. And you said it very well. It's in a grassroots levels, in a smaller clubs, and then boils there kind of. And I think it's even the smart way,
But you do see. This is what I find weird, is you don't see it necessarily in the high-level BJJ matches, but you do see it in the high-level MMA matches. I'm thinking of Kevin Gastelum, Robbie Lawler. They are, while they may have never studied your system or know who you are, they are doing the things that you're talking about at a very high level. And I don't know why we see it in MMA so much and not in...
It's interesting because usually people say, what about MMA? You get punched in the face if you do like hawking. But so Robbie Lawler, Colby Covington match is a perfect example of that. Whitaker has used, I think Sonny Brown did a nice breakdown of Whitaker Turtle in MMA. I think Derek Lewis stands up from everywhere. Yeah. So
technical standing up.
There is a lot of interesting enough evidence for that attitude. But I guess it depends also what they see, and maybe I didn't present it well in the early days, and people thought that I'm just creating passivity and you have to be active, but I think every debate I will have, I think the opponent would lose. In that sense, I know I sound too confident that in that sense, if I say defensive BJ. It just makes sense to do it this way and not start with crossface underhook side control stuff. It just makes sense to do it, and then those crossface underhooks are already like more specific problems, they will arise later. But to start from there doesn't make any sense, and it boggles me in a way that people don't see it the way I see it. But it's always everybody that has something different. It always says that I don't understand why people don't see it my way. So it's also understandable, and I like the grassroots stuff level, because what I don't want it to become a hype and the bandwagon stuff, and I really want that we will find every flaw. We will learn to teach it better. We will learn to talk about it better, and then if it's really ready, I would deserve the limelight. Like I've done this defensive stuff 15 years. And nobody, like I would say, still I had clubs that worked with, but it wasn't big and people didn't care about it. And so it blew up in like 3-4 years ago.
So I also wonder whether the people were ready for it because of people, for me, when I started Jiu-Jitsu, I needed some way to survive on the bottom. And I found videos of Tellez, and I started like researching him, and I changed my game to adopt this turtle approach, but nowhere near to the sort of way, the depth that you went into. And then when your videos turned up, I was like, I was already ready for somebody to do this. I wonder if there's quite a lot of people who also did the same thing and were looking at Tellez thinking, there's something here that's non-conventional that really works, and then you turn up with a system all ready to go, you know.
Tellers is super hard to understand. And now, if you understand the way I play turtle, I think it's easier to understand. So I'm lucky that I had a guy, a Swedish guy named Eric Linden, that I was able to study 2.5 years, then to figure out why his turtle works. I don't think it was in a level of Tellus, but it was in a level of I was super annoyed with him, and but he couldn't teach the turtle. He did seminars, very technique based, very possibility based, and because then I realized he doesn't know what he does, and he just does it. Just does it. He's good at this, but to pass it down, he cannot say what's the essence, you know. And he was teaching, I do this, I do this grip, this sweep, that sweep, but then everybody was super confused. So, and it took us 2.5 years to finally figure out the structure and the elbows and the hips and stuff. And then I asked him one day, like, is it this? He was like, yeah, this is what I do. I was like, God damn it. Why did you say it like 2 years ago? And because we studied him, and that also helped him to understand what he does. Because sometimes people do, and then other people figure out what they do and why it works. And Tellus is, I don't know, it's a sad or happy, whatever, situation that he doesn't show much why he's so safe. And that's the hardest to realize when you watch his matches against, high-level guys. It's like, why the hell they don't take his back? Everybody's so, but you can't really pinpoint what he does. And he plays kind of open, and it's really I can do similar things. I'm not saying I can do the same, but I can understand, and I play similarly. I can be very open and still protect myself. And then it's super hard to understand what is the essence of what I do. If I teach my basic turtle, then it's clear structure. You have if you see it, you can copy it. But if you see it in a very high level, you couldn't recognize it's the same structure. So I think I don't know why my mind works the way it does, and I could pinpoint it. And then it was like people have said it before also. Oh, I have your DVDs, and now I have Tellus ones, and now they make sense. So now I can add this battle-tested techniques that Tellus provides, but that it laid on the structure that it's safe always.
Well, that's something that you don't really teach that many techniques, do you? You're much more conceptual, and then you've said on your DVDs before that you don't really like teaching escapes. You like people to figure those out for themselves. Yeah,
but it's because escapes the information is out there. Some people get really annoyed by this actually. When I say that, I'm like, that is not my job. You can clearly find like 100 videos on YouTube about the guard pull. And it's not my job to teach you like the best one, because they all can work. And what will work in what time, it's yours to figure out. And then I honestly say to people, like, if I do my half, you have to do your half. So I make you safe. And somebody asks all the time in YouTube, like, but how do I pull guard? I was like, yeah, let's say, but it's not always possible if you're super lightweight, but let's say if you're like I don't know, 70, 80 kilos, take somebody, 15, 20 kilo lighter and start to practice guard pulls. Try it. Maybe they jump over your guard, do it, go turtle again, try it again. Because clearly you can beat the guy if he's your level in that sense. And then the winning and losing mentality is out of the question, because there's no mental kind of pressure to win and lose, and you just try them, and then go YouTube, figure it out, take some techniques and try, and most people can do it. You don't need exact technique, because you need to try first, fail, create context, and then those techniques make sense, because you understand why they're built that way. And there's like a gazillion ways to pull guard, because the top guy then can also move, left and right, and jump over your legs and go north south and whatever, different ways blocking you, so it's not one answer. So my thing is I'm providing people to be safe, and so they're ready to fail and try and do it again. Because if there's no system to go back to, then trying and failing is a kill decision, because every time you fail, it's a disaster. So I think logical would be that you have a system, in that sense, like a boxing guard that you punch and you miss and you pull your arms back and figure it out, punch again. But imagine doing boxing without that boxing guard that your arms are up, you know? It's like if you punch, where do you go from there? You have to just punch again or you get punched back. So there's no safety net. And the failure is programmed into boxing because clearly you don't expect every punch to hit. But so I would like to think that in Jiu-Jitsu also failure has to be programmed into the system. And then if you create a system there's a safe spot, there's 0 point we call, and then trying becomes fun because now you can try and fail and it becomes a game. And because you can always return to that point and try again. And that's the point of learning. You know, like a kid learns to walk, they have to be like, they usually fall like, I don't know, gazillion times because they learn to walk. And imagine like they would have to do it in a first try. So it's like impossible because it's a full body coordination. And pulling guard is a full body coordination. Where's your elbow? If you want to pull guard, where's your head? Where's your elbow? What is the bottom leg does? What the top leg does? What the other top arm is framing? You know, it's a full body coordination. And they will have to teach you like one time and one try basically, like, and then if you fail, oh, sorry, you know? So I would like to think that if you spend time on that boxing guard, so to speak, that then teaching punching is easier. Not easy, but easier because you have place to return to and you try it again. So that's why those 0 points, the way, you know, the running man, turtle, pandas, they make sense. It's like a shield. You're behind and who knows how you get out. That first you have to survive because otherwise you're not, if you don't feel safe, then it's a little bit panicky, and then you want to escape sooner than you have to, and then you make mistakes. But it's different when you're safe and you don't care, and you have answers to different situations, and then you can find a better way out. Of course, you know, competition and, you know, time limit and everything will add extra pressure, but we're not talking about that at the moment. We're talking about in a gym environment. So it makes just sense to do it in that way. It's very hard to understand for me that why other people don't think that way, and why people like to do side control the way they does. I really think that that part of the game is just really, there's no better way of saying that. It's broken, and we have way better knowledge of attacks in Jiu-Jitsu, and somehow the turtle and the side control and all those back escapes are I'm not saying the least studied, you know, areas, but they're compared even to leg lock defenses. They're not that studied, and clearly like a deep upper body submission defenses with 10 different depth layer, they're not there. Some guys can do it, but it's not there. So that side of jiu-jitsu is like tremendously understudied, and so that's why I have a job.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, your approach does make sense to me. I've been playing around with the Hawking 2.0 from the bottom of side control for a while now, and I'm slowly developing attacks from there that are sort of growing out of having a safe posture. One thing that I've been working on quite a bit is a kind of a hip throw. So if you imagine you're in Hawking and the person is to your left and you're looking away from them,
yeah,
so they're kind of behind you.
Yeah.
I find if I back into them with my hips, just keep going into them, I can just grab the back of their head with both my hands and lift my hip up in the air almost, and there's a kind of a hip throw. It's just something that, like I would never imagine this would ever work in my life, but I've done it now more than once and made it work. So you do find these things just from not being taught anything. Just have a position and play around with it. You find surprising things. But I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, because look at what happened to what's now everybody does buggy chokes now. Yeah. So like it's still, you know, in I think let's say a lot of clubs, this is considered, this is a goofy jiu-jitsu and you shouldn't do that. You put yourself in danger in side control. But clearly people are winning like high-level matches in buggy chokes from side control bottom, you know? So how goofy can it be? So,
Yeah.
and most people don't do it. They have to like, oh, their frames and crossface underhook position, and they have to turn in to shrimp, and but it's and but it's sad first of all, and so I would consider like, let's say, I think that ideal side bottom system would allow for me to do everything that works. And so if I find something that doesn't fit the system, I will change the system foundation, because if it clearly works, I would have to change it. So at the moment, hawking and everything else fits perfect with the buggy information. I can do kimuras from bottom. I can, so it doesn't contradict those things. I can play hawking, towards the opponent. I can turn away. So I can play it both ways, but it doesn't contradict. So as a position, you can prioritize in a way that, okay, pulling guard is, as a beginner better. I would even argue maybe not. But you can clearly go like, okay, I can do bridge and roll, so I can pull guard. I can attack from there, and it's, why not do everything that's possible? Why go like, no, this is goofy, this is not traditional jiu-jitsu, and from side control we don't do it. And people go to competition and they're not ready. That people are limiting their expression of jiu-jitsu because they think it's a goofy and not traditional, or whatever their reason might be why they don't teach it. I don't actually think that way. I think those things are wonderful, and I don't know, just keep doing them. And so it really amazes me that usually the pushback I get from escaping and but position, and from turtle clearly you can attack. There's rolling sweeps, and there's kimuras and stuff, and from panda I think you can have some kimura attacks and stuff. And clearly hawking, we have like a Brauli Estima submitted on Regalvao with some. I think it was set up in a kind of guardy situation, but it was like a reverse triangle, and it ended up in a kind of side control bottom situation like they usually do. But I think it happened more in kind of guard situation. But there's plenty of videos of people, doing triangles from side control, getting people. And there's some Americana attacks, weird ones that you do with the legs, to the opponent. And then I think that should be studied, and that shouldn't be goofy if it works. So
what's your sort of favorite? I mean, we don't really know much about Priit's favorite submissions. What are the kind of things you go for most?
Seems like because I know hawking a lot, and it seems like that makes me better of catching a lot of kimura grips, because I don't train attacks at all. Let's say in the right context, I develop my defense, and I research defense. But it seems like if I know what to do in a bottom, it just makes it weirdly easier to understand when I'm in top, what I'm looking for. And so I get a lot of kimura grips. I get super many underhooks that people just give me, and that's usually the first feedback I tell them, that just don't give me underhooks, because then YouTube works. It's just I can do anything I want. And it seems like understanding what they have to do in bottom, so it helps me to figure out. And these days I don't do so much kimuras, also maybe 1/3, but 2/3 of the time I just go armbar. I usually do kimura grip, then I pick up the bottom elbow, so I really do not let them roll anyway, and then I put my legs over, and then I pull both arms in, so to speak. So their defenses are limited. But I only pick it up because they give me that elbow. So usually I teach the whole system is meant to teach the bottom elbows. So you only get like one arm if you even want to attack it. So it's the control is also different for a top person. But arm bars, weirdly, I would like many years ago I thought like somebody asked me that question. I said kimura, and I still do some, but when I remember my last rows in some 6 months whatever, it's basically been definitely arm bars from side control top. And also I love wrist locks, so and not in a way as my good friend Harto in the gym, but I do also wrist locks because a lot of people don't consider them. and I do them very safely. I don't go like hard, but it's just one thing that people need to also figure out how to defend, and they're there. So those things. I remember that just last week I just did, I think, 3 wrist locks.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it just reminds me of I've got some videos of Rafa Mendes sparring in his academy, and I was really surprised that I'd say about half, maybe more than half of all the submissions he actually did in these sparring matches were exactly what you were talking about, which was armbar, Kimura into armbar from side control, from the top. And it just I don't know. There's something like, it doesn't need to be complicated, does it? The submission is the last part of the puzzle. It's not where all the work has to happen, which is the setup for getting there.
So what I'm also very vocal about is, I guess if we make, it's not, I think it's untrue statement in a way, but I will say it. I think if we would make Jiu-Jitsu look the way it actually is, we would have a harder time selling it to people. But what I mean by that is I don't sell that, but I think people are selling complexity to people. And, new attack, new this, new that, But when you look high-level people sparring, what happens? There's a guillotine, there's a like a choke, there's an, Kimura, armbar, those options, like, those submissions, Occasionally we see something that's, a little bit out of this world, but mostly there's no crazy gazillion version of arm bars you see, in DVDs. It's just certain positions people are attacking more from, and they're just, you can say they're boring, but they work. But when you see what people are sold, like in every class there's techniques and stuff, and there's gazillion techniques, and you don't see half of them, even more than half in competitions, whatever matches you watch. So that's why I don't like techniques, because I think it's a misleading concept. So that's why I like more, I don't know, positions but let's talk about defensive stuff. I like the positions, and then you have basically what you need is, let's say, in my system, so to speak, is those shields, understand how they work, and you need one escape. And that's a minimum, And if you can keep, let's say, if you roll with a black belt, and let's say if you keep 50% of time, you keep him at bay, and you do your one escape, you're a black belt. You don't need 10 techniques, It makes it better a little bit, because you can, mislead him, misdirections and everything else, because you have more options they have to consider, That's why you have jab, cross, hook combinations, because they're harder to defend. But mainly you just minimally only, ideally you need one escape, and you just do it over, like a Thai boxing low kick, you need to have a good low kick, and you will get respect, and you don't need multiple awesome weapons, but so that's why ideally I enjoy my system, that it's a shield, it's killing complexity, kind of making it very simple fight, and then you have one escape. Or when you train more jiu-jitsu, maybe you have 2 or 3, whatever, but you don't have to have like a gazillion techniques. In side control top, the basis is you have to keep opponent in side control bottom, deny him ability to pull guard. It's trainable, you can still lose, but it's a sport, so there's a guard, deny their ability to sit up, go to turtle, and pull guard. So if you manage that, you will stay in side control forever, ideally. Then you will have a time to figure out how to do that Kimura, So because you would have to, the point is, you want to be good enough in Kimura, you could do it to everybody. But if you have a gazillion submissions, then all those submissions, they need time to get better. So it just prolongs your time. And I guess I'm not saying that you only need one attack, but there is a limit of, I think you can know some, but you don't need 10,000 attacks. I think it's a misleading concept. And if you watch like people doing spider guards, and they can keep the spider guard. That's the fundamental. That's what we should concentrate on, and everybody has their favorite sweep. So the essence is you should have a good spider guard recovery and spider guard holding skills to develop, and then you need one sweep. Maybe it's something with Michael Langi, maybe it's something Romulo Barra, depends on your weight class and whatever, but you don't need those 40 sweeps that people may be showing you. It just makes it look so complicated and confusing, because even they don't use those 40 sweeps. They just know them.
Yeah, exactly. And when you think about like a sparring round, if you spider guard, you pull spider guard, you do your sweep, and then you're on top. But the whole spider guard portion of the round only lasted 20 seconds tops, and then there's like another 5 minutes of you being on top and looking for submission.
And also
it's a small percentage of the game, isn't it? That to spend all your time training on that for only that 20 seconds of the match.
And just one thing also, that's recently I was in Firenze, and just a question you asked that, I don't like teaching escapes or something. So one thing I said in Firenze, also I was teaching hawking versus kimura attacks, and I was showing how hawking works everywhere else also, different, gazillion other versions where hawking is beneficial. And then the guy asked that, but how do I escape side control? And I was like, first of all, I think maybe I failed with the delivery, because I guess that was the point, that you can't get tapped, and then you can figure out, like I said, how to escape.
Yeah.
Take somebody lighter and then start to climb the ladder. But also I told him, like, but why do you want to escape? Because I can show you side control where you're not in danger. So if you're not in danger, why do you escape? Then let's kill the necessity. Let's kill the feeling of being in danger, and then it's a freedom. Yes, you can escape, and also you can attack. You can also just stay there. So, and then the strategy comes, and maybe punches, maybe jiu-jitsu, maybe time limit, maybe points, and then it changes a bit. But in essence, I know there's a way to be safe in a bottom, and escaping is just one of the options you can do, but you don't have to escape. So that's also that I find that people have hard time sometimes wrapping their head around that, why I don't like, those techniques, because you're not in danger. And then I have to teach them that if you stay in hawking, there's pretty much nothing they can do. Yeah, we're trying to figure out it against everything, lapels, chokes and stuff. And if you figure it out, you're not in danger. So now you're free to make choices. If you feel in danger, I clearly understand that you want to escape because you don't want to be there. So I think I like to think about differently about side control, and that all the positions I'm using and defensive stuff I'm researching kind of seems to point that way. So I think it's, if you develop that freedom to not care, let's say like Jeff Glover, then you have freedom. You develop your donkey guards, and then you go crazy. Then you can develop your artist side, really what your style, because you're not bound by those old laws that teach you how to escape. No, you're free, and then you can make your own choices.
And it's more pleasurable, I think, as well.
Yeah.
When I train in the way you're mentioning, I don't feel as stressed or as...
I know.
Or as, I don't know what the word is. Maybe stress is the wrong word. What's the word?
I think stress is good. Everybody understands.
Anxious, maybe. Yeah. Like there's an anxiety when you're on the bottom of side control. If you're trying to really hard to escape and it's not working, it's just miserable. Whereas if you just make yourself safe and wait, and then suddenly you feel better.
And I get this all the time. Just recently was the Estonian Globetrotters camps, was in Tallinn in the gym we rent times from. And then I did my stuff against decent level guys. And they all said like, God damn it, you're so comfortable in bottom. And because usually they expect people to rush, they want to be there. So they're using the mistakes they're doing. I was like, yeah, I don't mind. I don't care. It's not a waiting game. I'm not supposed to wait longer than you. I can also initiate something. But what they say is like, you weirdly relax in a bottom position, and you're calm, and you're very confident, and it sometimes it throws people off because most people didn't want to be there. You know, I clearly, let's say, also I can say like maybe I don't want to be there, maybe top is better, but you know what I mean when I say I don't mind being there.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so and so it's that's really weird feedback I've gotten. So I'm really been probably yeah, it's a body language that they get from me.
Yeah, and but, I mean, it. I enjoy feeling comfortable on the bottom, but I don't enjoy it when you get the occasional person who will then, because they don't understand why you're not going crazy, they just sort of kneel on your face, or, you know, or kind of do things that they're only doing because it's a jiu-jitsu match and I can't punch you, so they just kind of rub their elbow across my head or something, you know. You get the occasional person like that.
Okay.
How do you deal with that sort of
Uh,
situation?
clearly I pick people that I wanna do. I wanna put myself in danger,
Yeah.
and let's say a lot of people think that going rougher is answer to beating. Let's say my system. I usually don't like to call it my system, but let's call it mine. So if
Mm.
anybody listening, so mine is always in a quotation marks. So and then going rougher and rougher, and then turning the jaw with the elbow, elbow tip, and putting like knees to the kidneys and stuff, because those
Mm.
things are there when, let's say, the defender is a beginner and they don't know it yet. They're fully that
Mm.
transitions and stuff, and they're not confident, and those things will happen. And I get messages, people, oh, somebody went to Running Man and they just put their knee to my kidney and I was helpless. But then the answer is, go to panda, transition to stick, move around. So
Mm.
the progression has to be easy, that you develop confidence in people, not like somebody's trying it first time in a gym, and you just rough them up by putting knee in a kidney. They're trying it the first time, that. So we don't introduce this way the system also. So people get
Mm.
like false negatives. So one thing is like just pick the people you want to train new things. If you would train late arbor defenses, you would not pick the spazziest guy for that.
No.
Yeah, so
No.
you pick somebody lighter. I developed my choke defense on a girl that weighs 60 kilos. Our gym, the top female, Lizzie Wacht. I developed stuff on her. So I can toss her around if I want, and she's really dangerous. I'm not physically in danger that she cannot, manipulate her weight around me that puts, I cannot, put too much weight on certain ligament and it breaks. I can still
Mm.
manage myself under the pressure. So I develop stuff on her. I don't take my size people and develop stuff. I take them
Mm.
when certain things is super ready. I want to test it harder, and then I'm aware of also that how much I can take risks because they're heavier. So definitely take, and if somebody does that to me, it doesn't happen many times because I'm a black belt and people respect you for it and they try to be nicer.
Mm.
But I think it has happened a couple of times, and then I tell them that I can do that to you. Uh,
Mm.
so when it's my time to be on top, so I can be also not nice. So where does it lead to? If you think your answer is putting knee in my face, then I can take it and then do my thing, and then I usually point it out that you know don't do it.
Yeah.
And then but I know it's with me it's different. I'm a big guy. I'm a black belt, so people that have different respect towards me. And if you're like a white belt and in a gym trying something new, you will have those problems. So I really recommend, if whatever new you're trying, try to take somebody not spazzy, talk to them what you're trying to achieve, like so they won't like crush you or whatever. It's just they let you experiment, and then ask questions that what about this and that before, that like, they could ask before, like, can I next round try to put the kidney knee to the kidney and maybe try this way, not 100%, but can I try it so you would feel what you should do. So there
Mm.
should be a communication, not like just spazzy guy putting that and then somebody gets injured and then it's my fault because I'm teaching Running Man.
Mm.
So that's usually the issue. So I'm hoping that people are responsible, And so, like, yeah, they tell people first what they want to do. I'm trying something new, so it's obvious. Or
Yeah.
take somebody lighter that if they even put their knee to the kidney, it doesn't hurt as much, you know. And then you go like, okay, to tap, but you're not getting injured. And you go like, okay, you ask a question from me, or you figure out to transition yourself. So I think it's a problem people have, but I don't see it's not. I don't see it's not manageable. I think.
Yeah, I really like that approach to jiu-jitsu where you talk with your partner about what just happened, what you're trying to achieve,
Yeah.
what you're working on. It seems to happen more in smaller classes. When you get the bigger classes, for some reason, it turns into more of a competitive thing. I don't know whether that's just what I notice, but I think that's a great way to train. I really like it.
Yeah, because I rolled with also I rolled with some higher level guys, and then I ended up getting a lot of underhooks. And then in a break between the roll, I asked them like, "What is your goal here? You know, why are you giving me underhooks?" So because first I didn't, I didn't go like he gave me underhooks. I submitted them. I get the underhooks and then I see what they do. And then maybe keep them there a little bit so they would be aware of that I have an underhook. That maybe they want to fight for it, and then if they don't get it back, then I armbar. So, but I give them time, and then I asked him like, what was the point? That do you want to give me underhooks, or do you want to develop like a counter when you have underhooks, and when so you give underhooks away, and what to do if people counter that? So and then so we discussed about it. So I was like curious, and then but yeah, there should be a talk, but I understand also if you're different situations, sometimes it's about winning and losing, and then people go crazy. So I mean, not in that stage. So and it happens more in lower level a little bit. So you really have to be careful that who you train with, and so you don't get hurt. That's the first thing. Your safety is the first thing, that you will not get injured, and you have to worry about your safety. So if you see a spazzy guy, just don't train those things with him.
Yeah.
And then also, I think one way to use defensive BJ is also I rarely warm up for a rolls. I'm not going to recommend that to people, but just this is what I do. And then I use defensive stuff to warm up my body, because I don't let people close to me. So I don't let anybody happen to me. And then, they only can be outside. I will not give them any underhooks and seatbelts. So I just use their body weight to make me warm, because I have to resist the body weight. And then if I learn to trust them and I see their intent, then if they're nice, not in like a noodle, but if they're nice, they understand the rules and stuff. So, and I start to give them more. So it helps me to also shut totally down, that I'm not giving anything that you can go home with, that maybe you're dangerous. So I really map you out. If you're okay person, I will open up and we'll play a little bit. But if you're dangerous, I just keep shutting down, and you're not getting anything maybe. So this is also what I recommend white belts. This is, let's say you're a white belt, you're rolling with a blue belt, it doesn't make sense to go like, okay, now, if they're really like a white belt and blue belt, not like a 4-stripe white belt and blue belt. So if they're really level difference, so I usually recommend people to go like, use defensive ideas to balance the role. So if they're more aggressive and they try to like beat you up in a healthy way, in that sense, and you shut down, you just defend, then you balance out the equation this way. And then they realize that you want to play, so they have to ease up, and then you come out of your shell, so we can play. So if they want to go just the 10 submissions in 5 minutes, you can shut them down if you do it well, and they don't get anything. So, and their feedback is like, oh, you're so passive, it's annoying to roll with you. Then you can say, yeah, but be less aggressive. You're clearly better. The winning and losing is out of the equation, because I understand you're better. So I want to play with you. I want to learn from you, and I'm not trying to beat you. But if it's a closer level, let's say, for 4-stripe white belt and early blue belt, they can go, harder and stuff, and they can test, and it's a good test for a white belt in four stripes, that can test where they are, and they can go harder, So the system can be used all different ways, that then it's so there's a lot of beneficial side effects if you have that ability to shut down, and then you open up as much the game allows you to. So because the point is not to be like shelled up in that sense. The point is, kind of to play, and you can use the system as is required. And the funny thing is, people these days less, but earlier days more. People accused me like, oh, I'm making people passive. But if you watch recent competitions like Polaris, I think people are super passive. Nobody takes risks. Something like it's a very some matches where I'm not criticizing the athletes and stuff. I'm saying about passivity. It's there's no penalties in sports, so doesn't have to be like a crazy pace. So people take like a modest pace, but in modest pace, everybody's a black belt, and the mistakes are very rare. So if the pace is higher, we have more mistakes. So, but people are being passive because nobody wants to push the pace. Maybe they get exposed and stuff, and they put themselves in danger. So in a way, also those people are just keeping their like comfort zone, so to speak, like shutting them down for a greater threat. Like what was the Degler? Sorry, I don't remember the opponent's name, but Robert Degler fought. And then it was really like I think interesting match, but in a way they shut their game down. And it was like some way both guys also like not very much engaging, But this is also a form of passivity. So and you can teach that game, and very competitive and very passive. But it also the other guy won the match, So
I wonder if the rule set is partly to blame for that.
yeah,
as
definitely.
well, because...
There should be all like penalties and stuff. That there's some going forward motion, but it's I don't think that's enough. They have to change the rules a bit. That to really have to be aggressive with penalties. So I think the passivity is it's always there, and higher guys are using it to shut each other down. So I'm doing it just in a defensive system, and and I don't think it's bad to be passive. It's just a tool you use, and then if you use it very extremely, and if nobody's threatening you, and you just always shut down, that's not the point also, If somebody wants to play and there's not a big threat, why shut down? Play back, But if there's a threat, you can shut down. So you have to use the tool accordingly.
Well, Priit, that's been great. Thank you very much. I've really enjoyed this chat. I think we've covered a lot of technical subjects there.
Yes.
I feel quite tired now.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
You have made my brain work. Thank you. So if people want to find out about you and what you do, where's the best place to go?
Well, of course, social media, the Jits Vulcan, Priit Mihkelson Facebook I'm pretty active there. It's a personal account, but I use it for business mostly. And so I'm putting my schedules there. I'm doing posts and just also a little bit goofing around. So that is there. Probably Jits Vulcan, also Instagram is probably there. And our own website, defensivebjj.com. So that is how I work with people. And so, I'm in the forum and narrating stuff. And so that's my online platform. But also for my work, I think to just see it, I have a lot of stuff in free in YouTube. So there's a Globetrotters.com site, and there's a free stuff section, and there's also the like in-action videos. So I have a quite big portfolio there that are like free videos from seminars, different camps. So and also Globetrotters YouTube action, like you can find probably my videos. So it's not only everything is online or something like behind paywall. So there's enough, and definitely newer information, newer videos are better. Older ones they're good, but already we have changed some stuff. So it makes sense to watch older ones. But so those maybe they make more sense.
Yeah, great. And in fact, you're still doing seminars all over the world, aren't you?
Yeah, right now it's weird that I'm sold out basically till the mid-June next year, and so a lot of some tours and some mostly weekends and some weeks also. So if anybody wants, there's interest. I really think like people should think ahead. I know it's hard because of Corona and nobody knows what's going on. So it is what it is. But also I was surprised that I will get so many bookings. I guess there's a little bit like a vacuum in that sense that people want to learn jiu-jitsu, and we lost a year basically. So at the moment, yeah. So it's hard. Maybe something, some people cancel something, it opens up. I will let people know. But I think it's a bad thing and good thing that I'm booked till mid-June.
I'm booked in to see you at Chris Payne's gym in Stafford.
Yeah, he has
in the UK.
I think I told Chris that he has to let me know when it's like sold out, because he sold out 50 places. Then he added 20, and I think only 2 or 3 are left. So and that venue is closed then. So I can say like out loud, I sold out with the biggest venue I had.
Yeah.
So that was.
I'm sure by the time this is out, it will be sold out.
Yeah. So that's it's clearly. I'm very appreciative that people, I guess, seem to know my work more or whatever, and I can have that opportunity to go and do my job, and there's actually people that want to listen to that. So kind of warms my heart in that sense that I'm not talking to the empty gym.
No, definitely not. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you anyway. Next year, so that should be fun. And I wonder how much new stuff you will have created by the time we get to May. So that'll be interesting as well.
We never, and I honestly never know what's next. We randomly figured out the back stuff. Like we added, Hawking was in a back escape. We didn't know. So now I don't know what's next. I guess I have my obsessions that I have to fix, and who knows what comes out of those. So yeah, May is quite far away. So it's 7 months. So it's
exactly.
a lot. Some things probably can happen. So then we talk. I think let's ask that question in a seminar, and let's mark this time right at the moment and see what actually happens, so we can talk about it later.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I love this learning through play and discovering things and being creative through the aspect of play, and I think that's how we get so much good stuff.
Yeah, cool.
All right, thank you very much, Priit. This has been wonderful, and I shall look forward to talking to you again soon.
Yeah, anytime. I'm happy to do it.
Thank you for joining us. You can find out more about the Tai Chi Notebook podcast at www.thetaichinotebook.com. You can support us by giving our podcast a positive review on iTunes and our page a like on Facebook. Just search for the Tai Chi Notebook to find us. Until next time, enjoy your training.